Welcome to the new Rainmaker Podcast, a weekly show for visionary founders and team members alike to come together and share the heartfelt, the cringe, and the radically honest truths about what it's really like to build and work for some of the world's most exposed brands on the biggest internet stages. I'm your host, Veronica Romney, and after working for some of the biggest names in the online space myself, I've learned that it takes both leadership and dream team collaboration to truly scale a company to its greatest potential. You can build a business alone, but you cannot scale it on your own. And my goal on today's episode and every episode is to inspire our dreamers and empower our leaders. Make sure to follow and share my podcast with your friends and colleagues, and feel free to tag me on Instagram at vromney with your insights and ahas. Now let's make it rain on today's episode. Rainmaker family, okay, I'm coming on here not to drop another episode, but actually to share some news about what is going to be changing. So I'm going to kind of brief you on where we are, how far we've come in almost the year that I have been hosting the Rainmaker Podcast, and the further refinement that this show is about to undertake. So as you know, if you've been listening for the last year, if you've seen the catalog of episodes, we've had some really beautiful, deep, unscripted conversations with founders, CEOs, trailblazers that have started something out of nothing. And it's been some of my favorite conversations to have. I've discovered things about myself on almost every episode, and it's for you guys to listen. And the feedback has been phenomenal, like really vulnerable conversations that are giving voice to what you might be feeling in isolation. And it's been really inspiring for both CEOs and team members who have tuned in. I personally have been feeling, and I don't know if you can resonate with this, but like, it's like the call of the wild. The ocean calls me, Moana style. Like, I have been just feeling this pretty aggressive nudge to really amplify another voice. As you guys probably know, I work with teams. That's my specialty. That's my zone of genius. I was a chief of staff, dream team architect. Like I work with companies to architect their dream teams and I have a very special program called the Rainmaker Residency that hyper focuses on one particular role and one particular working dynamic, which is the dynamic between a CEO and their CMO, their Rainmaker, their marketing leader, right? Like I focus on that particular position because it is I would argue it is the most endangered position of all leadership positions. It is so challenging to be the marketing leader for a rapidly scaling, ambitious organization in any business vertical. I know what that is personally. I've been a marketer for 15 plus years. I've been a marketing leader for many, many, many chapters of my career. And it's hard. Like, I often will compare it to being a gladiator walking into the Colosseum for all to witness. And there's some form of nakedness. Like, you don't have enough weapons. You don't have enough support. You have a limited budget. You have limited learning. There's just so many things that are not at your disposal. And yet you have to go and fight the beast for all to see. And so I have just felt this really strong push to amplify more Rainmaker voices. And let me explain why. In all of the research, both in high proximity to these individuals, I work with them every single day within the walls of my program and by the nature of what I do. So I'm in high proximity to them and front row to their success and to their struggles. But even if you look at the data, like if you go down the rabbit hole of the data that's out there and the research papers and the statistics, you'll see that chief marketing officers, VP of marketing, head of marketing, marketing managers, marketing directors, marketing leaders, which I affectionately call Rainmakers because we make it rain for organizations and clients, is the endangered species of the leadership suite. 83% of marketing professionals report that they are completely burned out. 83%. The average chief marketing officer tenure is the lowest level it has been in a decade. They average 2 to 3 years, where anybody else on the chief suite is averaging 4, 5, 6 years. They are the shortest tenure. Companies, every time they turn over a leadership position, lose about 6 to 9 months of their salary in trying to replace and train their replacement. They are also one of the most turned out positions. So there are actual confirmed studies of over 150 corporations that revealed over half of them have replaced their marketing leader in the last 2 years. And that is bananas, because I think you and I can agree that businesses don't make it without really strong marketing and sales. Like, you need to court marketing and sales every single day. You need to be constantly growing your business. There's no such thing as maintaining a business. You're growing or you're dying, in the words of Tony Robbins and everybody else that he quotes, right? So if marketing is the lifeline of growth for a business, and then the marketing leader is overseeing that revenue generating arm of the business, the fact that that position is the most turned out, burnt out position of them all is alarming. And I want to do my part in that one, because I think it touches on my own origin story as somebody who's been in marketing for 15 plus years, who's had many marketing positions, leadership positions, like both in corporate and the online space for personalities and brands, but also for those that don't have a voice for themselves publicly. And so what we're going to start to do with the Rainmaker podcast, we're going to basically take a little bit of a pause for the next month or two. And when we come back around, what you're going to see is we're going to have a lot more interviews with these Rainmakers. And so I just want to give you a kind of a sneak peek of what's to come. And why we're doing this. So number one, stepping into leadership is not for the faint of heart. If anybody remembers the first time they went from being an individual contributor to being a leader over other people, you realize very quickly that the only thing consistent in people management is the inconsistency of humans. Whoa, right? And these are people that are adults. These are people that have come from all walks of life, who have different aspirations, who have different struggles, who have different burdens, right? They come to you with all of this, and there is no manual for you to figure out how best to lead them, coach them, mentor them, right? And so these beautiful marketing leaders, in addition to making sure that they're responsible for their performance, their individual contribution, they're also responsible for the performance of those around them. And so the amount of work that a manager has to partake in for themselves is astronomical to even pull off the job, right? And that's why I call marketers, or at least the aspirational identity of a marketer, isn't just a title. It's really an identity of being a rainmaker. This concept that a rainmaker is somebody who is the master of their self, their team, their role, and quite frankly, their influence and impact long term. Like, that's what it means to me to be a rainmaker, when you are the master of not just yourself, but of others, the function that it performs within a business or for your clients, and also for the broader sociocultural impact that you might have, because you're the one that's pumping out marketing messages to the world, right? You're the one that gets to change the conversation with a really great campaign. Like, and we see that all the time, whether it's from Nike or Dove or what, like, you see these really beautiful campaigns happen. And I want to get to the bottom of them. I want to do more case studies. I want to talk to the rainmakers behind the brilliance. Like, it's not so much that I want to bring to you more marketing strategies, tactics, and tools, because it's everywhere. To me, the true magic of marketing, it lies in the hands of visionary leaders that employ the strategies, the tactics, and the tools. And so our new tagline is elevating marketing leaders inside and out. And it's our mission. So every episode when we come back will be filled with genuine, unscripted conversation with these marketing leaders from every corner of the business world. And I don't want to just talk to the marketers with the big brands and the huge budgets. Like, that's not helpful. I want to talk to marketing leaders who are all over the place for business sizes of all revenue sizes, right? And they have not only been scrappy and agile, but they've transcended the norm. They've overcome obstacles and they've achieved some extraordinary things. And so we're going to be showcasing their stories for other aspiring rainmakers, because that's where inspiration comes from, it's like basically being close to those who are doing the hard things like you, and knowing that you're not alone in the work. Because oftentimes when you're working behind the scenes of a business or behind the scenes of your client, it feels isolating and lonely. So we're going to expose a lot of the conversations that are often brushed under the rug. We're going to unmask some game-changing strategies that are rarely discussed. We're going to talk about the internal strife, the burnout, the need to justify getting more support, articulating your own revenue and return on investment, drive-by crises that you have to manage. Like, those are the type of conversations that we're going to be bringing to you. And all of that with the goal of inspiring you to step into your fullest potential and embrace your own journey in becoming a Rainmaker. So we're going to take a quick, slight pause in our journey on this podcast so that we can come back with some of the most, I'm just really excited about what's coming, the conversations that we're having, and amplifying the voices that you don't hear enough from, the ones that are really pulling off the magic that you see in the world using the art and science in the medium that is marketing. So let me know what your thoughts are. I'll see you in just a month or two. Thanks for listening to the Rainmaker Podcast. We believe you can't get real results or have real relationships that last without being real first. If you resonated with today's episode, leave us a review so we can keep serving up the truth and tips that help you become the empowered leader that I know that you are. And always head over to veronicarami.com to check out all the free resources I have for you and the show notes from this episode. Until next time, my friends.